Do we have a recorder?
It's being streamed actually.
Oh, streamed. Here we go. Okay. Well, with that, to our many viewers, we are calling to order the meeting of the Sparks Civil Service Commission. It is April 8th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please do a roll call?
All right. Scott Benton,
Present.
Lou Daria,
Present.
Jenna Garcia, Douglas Marsh, Elise Monroy Marsala.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. With that, we will move into item 3, which is public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody wishing to make public comment?
We do not.
Thank you. Item 4, approval of the agenda. This is for possible action. Item 4.1 is approval of today's agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
And I'll second.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, concerns on the item we're about to vote? Hearing none, please cast your vote.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Oh,
It was taken away from us.
did I mess it up?
Nope.
Good. Okay. Good job.
Okay. And then you press the second. Perfect. And then now that we have a motion and a second, go ahead and cast your vote. And with that, we have the agenda has been approved by the 3 casting vote members. Item 5.1 is, I'm sorry, we're going to go back. Item 5, approval of the minutes, possible action. 5.1, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the Sparks Civil Service Commission meeting for January 14th, 2026.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
And I will second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Please cast your vote. With that, we have, the motion has been passed. Item 6, announcement, presentations, recognition items, reports, and items of special interest. These are no action items. Item 6.1, presentation concerning police officer recruit statistics. Ms. Halterman.
Hello, Shauna Halterman, HR Director for The Record. The last meeting, there was some discussion about the different types of data you would like to see regarding police officer recruits. So we have broken out the presentation, which comes farther down, a little bit different, that I hope will provide you with the information you need. But I'm also seeking guidance on what type of data and statistics you're looking for regarding the police officer recruits.
On that, can we pause this item, move it till after our presentation so that we can
Is that acceptable?
revisit this item later, since it's not an action item?
Well, usually that would be done at the beginning,
Okay.
when you're approving the agenda. You would reorder the agenda items at that time.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what could happen if it sounds like you're going to be presenting some information and then you would like to know if that's what they're looking for.
Or
I
if
think
they
that
want
can also happen under announcements from staff and commissioners. So you can say, did you have any questions? The commissioners can say, that was 90% of what I want, but I still want X, Y, and Z. So she's kind of preparing you for the next presentations, and then you guys can let us know if that's what you're looking for
Beautiful.
at that time.
Okay, back to Ms.
Good.
Halterman.
All right. Well, that was it really for item 6.1.
Okay, well then I'm 6.2.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, we will move to item 6.2, which is the presentation concerning the review of civil service examination materials.
I was gonna say, you can sit next to me. All
Ms.
right.
Coberly, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Jessica Coberly, Acting Chief Assistant City Attorney. Just going to quickly go over the commission role and how it relates to the question that was asked, and then going through the charter and the commission's regulations to talk about what is appropriate for the commission to review. So looking first at the commission's role, it's outlined in the charter. I don't have a fun PowerPoint because this isn't really fun PowerPoint slide stuff, but under section 9.020 talks about civil service regulations, which starts out with the commission shall adopt regulations consistent with this article to govern selection and appointment of all employees of the city. And then the next part goes on talking about those regulations. And so the idea is that this body oversees that process. There's a lot of different relating to selection and appointment. And so that is a process-related role, which is emphasized again under the regulations, which under section 3 of Article 1, say that the commission has authority over all phases of procedures, again, for the selection, appointment, and promotion of employees. But the commission does also, under the regulations, have a substantive role, and that's in the appeal process. And so it is not often that it is utilized by employees because they have two options generally to utilize. They can either do an appeal of a HR decision through related to their appointment, promotion, through their applicable resolution or bargaining unit, or through the Civil Service Commission. So they often will choose a different route. However, that option is always there for employees under the civil service regulations to appeal a denial of a promotion, or as we recently clarified in the 2025 regulations, any test results, right? Those types of appeals could come to the Civil Service Commission. And so as a result, it's a largely, role overseeing the procedure. You guys oversee how we put the regulations out there. And obviously, as all of the upcoming presentations and, we'll show you, the process of, we had these individuals that we hired, and then you'll tell us their seniority. And so it's a procedural role with that exception of that substantive appeal role. And so because the commission has a substantive appeal role, looking at and reviewing test materials is not appropriate, because if you're involved in the approval and selection of test materials that are then appealed because the argument is, well, this question doesn't apply to me, or shouldn't be utilized, or is too hard, or, we weren't prepared for it. If you were involved in selecting that question or approving that question in some way, you would then not be able to oversee the appeal. And just for a little bit more context though, on that process, the commission does set out regulations for examination procedures, and actually specifically mentions under the department director. And so I've experienced this. We recently had a civil service position come available in the city attorney's office, and HR asked me which of these two tests make the most sense to have based on the type of duties that your secretary would provide. And it was like looking at different options that had different types of questions. And so I went through both tests and said, this one's not as applicable. This is a little bit more clerical. This is more appropriate based on, what my employee does, which again, makes sense that it's a department and an HR discussion, because they're more involved in that, day-to-day substantive role. So, and then that's kind of similar throughout the regulations, right? This commission also oversees the procedures for layoffs, but not the decision at the department level of, we can lose this administrative person for this substantive expert person, And so that is where that comes in. And then there's also some concerns with just the NAC 284-718 identifies all admission or all materials used in examinations as confidential. So today we are not providing that testing material because as an appellate body, we do want you to be able to hear appeals of test results, which again, as we've clarified in the 2025 set of regulations, certainly could happen. And, to the extent the commission has heard concerns over test materials, that would be the time that you would be called upon to review that. And so we wouldn't want to give you access to testing materials prior to that in any sort of substantive review, both for the confidentiality concerns, but also for the, then you've already seen it and tacitly approved it. So that is my fun presentation with no PowerPoint, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, if any of that raised questions.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Elise Monroy Marsala for the record. Can you explain to me, just because I was curious to learn? So it sounds like we might have oversight over layoff procedures. Can you explain to me what that would look like?
So it's mostly, again, in the regulations and the creating of the procedure. So right now, what
Okay.
we would do, but you would again be an appellate body for that. So there are very specific layoff procedures and orders of importance and different bumping rights, thank you, that's the word, that are very specific to each job tree and position. And something that can happen is that if the city, plans for a layoff and implements a process, let's say within a particular job tree, and one of the employees that is laid off appeals it to this commission saying, whoa, I had bumping rights. I should have actually been moved to a different lower position or a different position in the job tree, and I should have been kept on. The city did this procedure wrong. Then that appeal would come to the Civil Service Commission to say, let's review, let's look at the, way that the regulations are written. Did the city properly apply those regulations to this particular employee? Oh, yeah, so it's fun stuff. We had to look at it a lot.
And thank you for looking into it. And looking back at the minutes, I was the one who requested this item. And I think it was more so understanding the process.
Yeah.
And thank you for laying that out. I appreciate hearing that we are the appeal body, so we don't want to be in the weeds, so to speak, right? I don't want to know what test questions are being asked. I think it was more of the process and you laid it out, so it suffices my request. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, back to Shauna.
Back to Shauna. Any questions on item 6.2? Great conversation, thank you. We'll move to item 6.3, which is report concerning City of Sparks Civil Service employee actions from January 2026 through March 2026. Ms. Halterman, back to you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Shauna Halterman, HR Director, again for the record. All right, we do have a PowerPoint this time. You should have received a detailed confidential packet. You all received that, great. So what I'm going to go through with item 6.3 is just kind of our standardized reports that we provide to the commission on a quarterly basis. They show some of the different actions that we have, including new hires, rehires, end of employments, position changes where people change in a series or they get a promotion. And the employee actions for the last quarter are primarily what we're going to be covering. There is a little caveat to one of those. And we did have actions within community services, police, fire, and management services. And those have been provided in the detailed packet. I'm going to go
Question
through.
regarding the detailed packet. Is that available to anybody in the civil service positions, or is it,
The confidential packet?
or is
No,
that just for the five
It
of
is
us?
just for you,
Okay.
yes, yes. No, we don't, those are all very confidential.
HR and Civil Service
Yes,
Commission.
correct.
Somebody from the public can't request records on those, okay.
Yeah,
And just to add to that, so the same regulation, the NAC, Nevada Administrative Code regulation that I mentioned before, that has a provision about test examinations being confidential, that is a much more detailed regulation that has a lot of list, includes items like personnel file and, personnel actions that are also considered confidential. So if the city gets a request for someone's personnel file or for let's say there was a promotional exam and they failed, that, again, that would go to their examination and that would be something that would be considered confidential. And so we would deny that record request unless it was the actual individual themselves, right? Because they want to appeal it or they want to look at it. Then we have procedures for that. So.
And then a follow-up question to that, in the confidential packet, if there's something that we as a commission individually or collectively have a question about, how would we go about addressing that? Would it be one-on-one conversation? It doesn't have to be open meeting?
Yeah,
conversation. It can be a phone call, say, hey, I have a question about this.
You
and then
can call and
decide.
ask.
Okay.
I won't get into detail about that particular person because it is confidential. I could discuss the process and the procedures that we follow if anybody is in whatever that situation is. But the individual, I wouldn't discuss
And I guess
that.
a bigger question is the intent of the confidential packet. Is there anything that you want us to do other than review it? Because that's our obligation, right? And we don't take action on it at the meetings, but is it just review, have the knowledge? And if something does come up later on, we can say that we reviewed it and accepted it the way
Right,
it
yeah.
was.
It's just for your information. It lets you know about actions that we can't put out to the world. It includes, some specific details and such in there that you may need to know or want to know, but not everybody needs to have that. So yeah, my understanding is the majority of the time, it's for your information. Very rarely does anything in there end up being followed upon later.
Thank
But
you.
it's just information we provide.
I actually haven't reviewed the confidential packet that goes directly to the commission, but it could also be a notice, again, if there's anyone that chooses to appeal any of those actions, then you have notice of the date of it and what the city did.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
All right, so item 6.3, in the civil service employee actions that we did in the last quarter, this is the breakdown for them. In community services, we had 2 position changes and 2 ends of employment. One was a retirement, one was a resignation. In police, we had 2 new hires or rehires. One is one ending employment, that again was a resignation. And the breakdown for this is in your packet too.
Yep.
Fire department, new hire / rehire, and a position change to 3 people in that department. And then management services, there were 2 people that had a position change. Those are primarily promotions, and the details are in the packet.
Position changes, primarily promotions.
Generally, yeah.
Yep,
Some of
thank
them
you.
are series class promotions where they go from a 1 to a 2, and that's basically they meet the minimum qualifications of years of service and or licenses, then they're just automatically moved up. Others could be promotions that they apply for.
And while we have this slide up, can you give me the overview? Police department's very direct in what that is, but what constitutes community service
Oh.
and management services?
Sure. Community services it's our largest department. It is primarily anything with public utilities, public works. Tum Wharf, the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility, is now pulled out of community services, and it's its own section. So it's not that, but it's anything with public works and also planning, engineering, that development side of the city.
Is that where code enforcement is, or is code enforcement somewhere else? Yeah.
Yeah, code enforcement would be in with community services. Management services encompasses the city clerk's office, HR, client relations, city manager's office. I think that's it. Who am I missing?
finance.
Finance is, well, they're sort of their own, I think.
Finance and IT are also.
In
would be my-
management, IT is,
Yes.
yes, all under management services, so.
So it's safe to say one's public facing, one's behind the scenes.
Potentially,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of how it's broken up. Police and fire obviously are pretty standard there, but, and these things have changed with some of the changes that we had regarding people that retired and we didn't refill those positions. Some of the management services positions that used to be in other departments are now in there. Yeah.
And comparatively, if the pie was 100%, how much of the pie does police, fire, management, community services have?
Are you talking budget or people?
I guess more so where these employee actions would take place. I want to know, is the 2 in management services like 20% of the pie, or is it less?
20% of the management services pie?
The overall pie of all civil service employees.
Oh, yeah, pretty small. Let's see if I can give you kind of an overview. Community services probably has, just off the top of my head, around 160 employees, give or take. PD is around the same amount, fire's around 100. Management services, adding everything together, maybe 75, just kind of ballpark.
Thank you.
The positions that you would not see are the part-time extra help positions because they're not civil service. And you're also not seeing MP in these numbers. We're only providing, which is management and professional. We're only providing civil service employee information. But just as a broad scope, like I said, community services is the biggest, police is probably second, fire third, management fourth. Sure, you got the numbers? Yeah.
Yeah, so, and again, this is encompassing all positions, so more, it's over-inclusive of civil service positions as well as management and other resolutions. So, right, legal has 11 positions, authorized, let's see, filled positions, I'll go by that. So 11 filled positions, management services has 16, financial services, yes, to your point, is separate, has 9. Municipal court is not actually part of the city technically, is 13. Information technology is 13. Human resources is 6. Community services is 150.
That was close.
And then Parks and Recreation, which has a separate director as well, is 24. Police is 172, so still out more folks than community service. And then fire is 99. And I don't know what that last, yeah, 0, okay.
Yeah, I think we have management services combining like IT and city clerk, and there's quite a few in there. Yeah. Yeah, and then like for recreation, what did they have? 16?
24.
24.
24? Well,
I
that's-
believe that includes now from the change, that would include the parks maintenance.
Yes, parks maintenance moved from public utilities into there. But their full-time positions prior to that were maybe 6 or 8. Not very many, but their part-time extra help temporary staff is enormous because those are all the, programs out there that happen, so.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Well, that's it for 6.3. Are there any questions on that?
Great conversation.
Okay, good. Next is a report on advertising. And some of
Before you
the,
go on, can I open
yes.
the item?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please.
Go ahead.
I don't want to get kicked under the table by the attorney. We'll close item 6.3 and open 6.4, which is the report concerning City of Sparks recruitment advertising for vacant city positions from January 2026 to March 2026.
Okay. Shauna Halterman, HR Director again for the record. Item 6.4 is a brief report on advertising. These are the positions that we had advertised in the civil service. Police officer, we do recruit and post. Post is lateral for those officers that want to move from another department. We had a promotional opportunity for police lieutenant, emergency communications dispatcher, and those are both recruit and lateral as well. And some of the places that we advertise are governmentjobs.com is kind of the clearinghouse of where most agencies utilize for doing their recruitments. We also do some social media, and then there's a few targeted platforms that we use specifically targeting the Latino candidates. And then we also send out emails whenever there's a job posting to all city employees. Any questions on that?
Eric, can I ask a
Yes,
question?
please.
Elise Monroy for the record. So I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but do you know what the vacancy rate is for City of Sparks? And then is there a difference between the vacancy rate for civil service positions versus non-civil service positions?
I don't have the information off the top of my head. We do have some positions that because of the layoffs are frozen or purposely held open. So there is a difference between a vacant position that will be filled and is budgeted versus a vacant position that isn't budgeted and currently has no plans to be filled.
Sure.
But there is a complement that lists every position. And at one time, we had it on the city's website. I don't know if it's still on there, if it's current, but it lists every position full-time only, doesn't do the part-time, extra help, temporary. And also, it would show which ones are open and which ones aren't. I just don't know how current the one on the website is, but yeah. I can get you the information.
I was just
I
curious,
don't have it
yeah.
on top of my head. And while we don't distinguish necessarily the difference when we're looking at vacancies between civil service and non-civil service, we could, it's just not something we would normally do.
It wouldn't be like impactful, like you wouldn't glean anything from that, looking at civil service versus, okay.
Not particularly,
Okay.
yeah. And the department heads and the city manager, they work together on the priorities for which recruitments are going to be hired first. If it's one that has a lot of vacancies, we may say, move that up. We need to do that next, as compared to one that they maybe have 30 people and they're missing one. They can absorb that for a little while. It may be pushed down the priority list.
Okay, my last question, and I think you just kind of answered it, but just for, I guess, for clarity's sake. So it doesn't sound like there's, when we're thinking about like vacancies or positions, there's not much difference between civil service and non-civil service. Is there any difference approach that you guys take like with recruitment efforts for civil service versus non-civil service? Or is it all the same? You're recruiting, you're just looking for good people that want to serve?
I mean, overall, we're looking for good people that want to serve. Now, I will say, not necessarily civil service versus non-civil service, but position-specific may have additional steps. For instance, if we're hiring a position that is for an engineer position and it requires an engineer license, we may advertise specifically to a National Association of Engineers. So a position that's difficult to fill may require some targeted recruitment. For the first time, we utilized a organization, I'm drawing a blank on the name, for our fire recruitment. It's a company that most cities around here use, and people apply, and then they can just do all of their testing and then say, okay, put me on the list for this city, this city, this city, this city. So that they don't have to individually apply at every city. We utilized this for the first time a few months ago, and the results were okay. I don't know if we got necessarily a lot more candidates than that we would have otherwise, but we wanted to try something new and see if it worked. So,
And there is a distinction, I would say, between the hiring processes in that pursuant to the civil service regulations, there are specific testing requirements for civil service positions that are not required for other non-civil service positions. And so there can be sometimes a difference in how quickly those can go because testing takes time.
true, yeah. There is often a application process and then a written test and then an interview, where if it were a management level position, there might not necessarily be a written test.
Yeah. And I think that was actually what I was trying to get at, was if there was a difference in the city's ability to recruit because of testing. And if that, I don't want to say deterred people from like applying for jobs, but it's another requirement and it takes longer. So I was just curious. So thanks for that clarification.
It does require extra steps, but that's just the civil service process. So, yeah.
Question about a comment that you made. Vacancies that are left open because they're frozen, are they still posted as if we're recruiting for them?
No.
They're just removed from the public's
They're listed
opportunity?
in the complement, but they're not budgeted.
Okay.
And so hopefully at some point we'll be able to bring them back, but there's no budget for them now. So they're
Okay.
just,
And I'm really naive. What does complement mean?
it's a list
Okay.
of every budgeted and approved position that we have full-time throughout the entire city and by department and the number of those positions that we have.
Okay.
Did I make sense? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's just a master list.
Master list, I like it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on 6.4?
No. Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to item 6.5, which is the report concerning the City of Sparks Civil Service candidate testing completed from January 2026 through March 2026.
All right, Shauna Halterman, HR Director again for the record. So this is some of the stats that you were looking for. And we are showing the recruitments for civil service positions. This is particularly within the police department. We provide the examination opportunity, and I'll get into a little bit of details about exactly what that means for these positions. In the police officer recruit lateral, when it says invited to test, they have to do a physical fitness test. So we invite them to test, and 22 people that we invited came and did it. 6 withdrew, and the asterisk is because they were actually people that withdrew the previous quarter. We just didn't report it. So then we have about 43 who have not yet tested. They just didn't get over there yet. They have a year to go do it. Of those people, then, they can go do the written exam. So we invited the 22 who completed part 1 to do the written exam. 10 passed, 1 failed, 11 have not yet tested. They have a year. For police lieutenant, there isn't a physical exam because this was an internal promotional opportunity. They already work here. Lieutenant is one of it's sergeant, then lieutenant, so they've been here a while. We invited 6 to test and 6 passed.
2 questions.
Yes.
When an individual fails the test, do they have the ability to retake it? And if so, what does that look like?
On a written exam, no. They can reapply, I believe, in a year.
Okay.
Yeah, the physical exam, I think they can take it again. Yeah, they can come back and take it again. But
And then the second question, police lieutenant,
Mhm.
is it exclusively an internal position or can they come from another agency, maybe that doesn't have the opportunity for growth like we do?
This was an internal promotion. We had enough viable internal candidates to do so, to offer that internally. Generally, in police and fire, they try to promote from within. It's not until you get up to the chief level that they bring people from the outside.
And that would that defer to the department head to make that decision if it's an internal or external
Right.
posting?
Yeah. Yep.
On the police, lieutenant, who puts the exam together? Where do they get the exam questions and to determine the promotion ability of the person?
HR works with the police department.
They put together the questions? You don't go to an outside agency?
With some tests, we do, entry-level tests, we do, but not necessarily an internal promotional. Yeah.
And I think that would be more of what the department needs, right? Like, do the questions change periodically for, like, if we were to recruit in a year for a lieutenant, would it be the same set of questions or would the chief say, nope, I want something, I'm looking for something that's missing from the department?
Correct, yeah. It could be that we're looking for a certain skill set at this particular juncture. It could also be that they don't want to use the same questions because then people remember it. They may be the same people applying every time. And we want to have new questions so that they're not always getting the same old stale questions. So, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so this was the information that I think you were seeking, in particular to police and the recruitment for police, and we can discuss later if there's something else that you'd rather have or more information.
I think this is great, thank you.
Okay, yeah, we did change that up. Thank you to for literally doing this afternoon, because it looked different before, and I said, we need to make this more simple, and so this made more sense to me than what was on there, so thank you
You
for
get the
her
5th grade
taking
version.
care of that. Yeah. Okay, that's it for 6.5.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission?
No?
Okay, we will close item 6.5 and move to item 7, which is general business for possible action. Item 7.1 is consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a seniority lot draw for Adele Emmer, Mackenzie Erickson, Riley Kennedy, Tober Colmus, Tino Matala, and Austin Rubacava. Hired on March 9th, 2026 to the position of firefighter recruit with the fire department. I want you to know I practiced last night these names and it didn't come out like I practiced.
You did just fine.
Back to you, Shauna.
Okay, this is a just standard procedure that we do when we have multiple hires that are hired on the same day. And we do a draw of names to determine seniority in the event that we ever need to know who is most senior. So generally, your has these envelopes and we just need somebody who's willing to pick 1 through 6.
I'll do it. Elise,
Oh, no,
there
I
you
did it
go.
last time. No,
Okay.
I did it last time.
You can do it again today. You raise your hand
Okay.
first.
Do I just open them?
Yep, you can open them.
However you want.
However I
And
want.
read out the
You can
names.
shuffle
Go
them
from
so
the
it doesn't
middle.
look like it's three.
All right, so Tino Matola,
It's number one, right?
number one. Oh, thank you. A little teamwork here. I like it. All right, this looks like Riley Kennedy, number two.
You wouldn't know I was once the secretary of this commission. That was my one job. Write the numbers.
All right, Tabor Kalmos for number three. Austin Rubicalva.
You practice better than I do.
I knew a Rubicalva for now. Adele Emmer. And then finally, we have Mackenzie Erickson. Thank you.
Okay. With that lot draw, I'll take that as a motion if you would be so inclined.
I move to have that be the lot draw.
Beautiful.
Here, I'll go up to the next screen here. It's, oh, she's got it.
You made the motion?
I made the motion, yes.
I will second the motion. I will second it.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, please cast your vote. And the motion carries unanimously. Item 7.2, consideration, discussion, and possible approval to remove names from the police office assistant eligibility list in accordance with the civil service regulation for examinations and eligibility list, section 13, removal of name from eligibility list. This is for possible action. Back to you, Shauna.
Shauna Halterman, HR Director. This request is to remove names from the eligibility list, which occurs after a job has been posted. Candidates have tested and interviewed, and they have either decided not to move forward or have failed some part of the background or were no longer interested. Those are the reasons why we would remove names from the eligibility list, and we'd like to do so with this particular list. Do I have any questions?
Does this remove them from, oh, sorry, Elise Monroy for the record. Does this remove them from eligibility for every city position or just the position that they applied for?
Just the position that they applied for. If a future opportunity, even in that same position, opens up, they can apply again.
Okay.
Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move. I move to approve the removal of names from the police officer assistant eligibility list in accordance with Civil Service Regulation 4, I think 4, examinations and eligibility list, section 13, removal of name from eligibility list.
Perfect. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion carries unanimously. Item 7.3, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a 6-month extension request for the labor eligibility list in accordance with Civil Service Regulation 4, Section 12D eligibility list. Ms. Halterman.
Shauna Halterman, HR Director for the record. This is the opposite of what we just did. So this was an eligibility list that generally eligibility lists are good for a year, except for fire, they're good for 2 years. However, we can extend the eligibility list 2 additional times, so 2 6-month periods up to a total of 2 years. This laborer list has been extended once, and the request today is to extend it again. That would put it through, I believe, December. And then it couldn't be extended anymore. It would naturally expire at that time. We don't have any plans for filling this immediately, but we do have a valid list that we'd like to continue.
Any questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. I move to approve the 6-month extension request for the labor eligibility list in accordance with the Civil Service Regulation 4, Section 12D, eligibility lists.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion is approved unanimously. Okay, item 8, announcements from staff and commissioners. Are there any announcements from the staff or commission?
I do have one announcement.
Okay, take it away.
There are 2 seats on the commission that are expiring June 30th. It's Jenna Garcia and Elise Monroy Marsala. And we understand you were just appointed, but you're serving the remainder of the prior person's term. So that expires June 30th. If you wish to reapply, there is an application process, as you recently did. And we will be making announcements at the April 27th and May 11th city council meetings. And we'll be doing the appointment at the June 8th meeting. Applications will be accepted until May 15th at 5 p.m.
Any other announcements from staff or commissioners?
Is that the time you would want to discuss if you would like additional information or if what we provided was sufficient?
I believe the information checks the boxes on my query. And I do believe I made the query back in January, so
I guess the clarification would only be, is that something you want on a regular basis? Or is that something that was helpful for this particular time?
I think a regular basis, just so that we get the breakdown. I know that it's always in our packet, but I think having that conversation in case the community wants to be engaged in the dialogue, they have that opportunity. Totally up to you guys. If it's cumbersome on your guys' job, then by all means, I want your job to be easier to support a whole city. So I don't want to ask for more with little.
I don't think it was, you already had the data. It was just a different way to show it by breaking it out in the way that we broke it out today. It was easier for me to understand, so I figured it would be easier for you to understand as well. So we'll continue doing that format.
I would like to ask, I know we talked off record about department heads presenting to the Civil Service Commission. If we could look into that, of course, with the discretion and approval of city council. I don't want them to present information that wouldn't go to city council to us in that process. You guys are well in tune of that, but I would love to have the ability to engage with the department heads in case the public does have questions that we could help guide conversation through.
Okay. I can check into what was done in the past and then we can go from there.
Well, back when the dinosaurs were around, we did that. Any other announcements? Okay, well, I move to item 9, which is comments from the public. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody wishing to make public comment?
We do not.
Okay. With that, I will make an adjournment at 6:13 p.m.
Good job. Good job, Scott.
Thank you.